Aloha everyone. Welcome to the second edition of The Guru Is You, Hatha Yoga and the Vinyasa tradition. I'm your host, moderator, yogi, Pau Reynolds. And with me today is my VLA, my very lovely assistant, Gabby. She's in for her second round too. So thanks for coming, Gab.
Thank you.
I hope all of you had a chance to check out our first edition. Please remember that when you look at our offerings here on YouTube, that you're able to subscribe to the post. It helps us gather more people to participate in the practice with us. So for our first part of practice today, I'd like everybody to try to sit as you see Gabby or me sitting, seated on heels position. If that's not right for you, cross-legged is fine as well. Okay. And as you come to your seated position here, just gently either close your eyes or keep your gaze soft for the moment as you bring yourself into the practice this morning. Now, as in our last practice, I'd like us to kind of bring us together with 3 breaths together. But before we get to that phase, I'd like to ask you to consider that your practice is a conversation. A conversation, obviously, with you and with your body. And it's like, you know, you're sitting down with an old friend, having a cup of whatever, and just starting to talk about things, right? And as you talk, your conversation moves through levels, right? So maybe your first level is just about the everyday stuff and the weather. And then a lot of times it can sink deeper. Well, your practice is very similar. We start off with these things called asana, or physical postures. But if you listen intently enough, you'll find that a lot of those postures are bringing other aspects of you into the practice, whether it be emotional, mental, heartfelt. Okay? So just be willing to notice those things. Okay? Today is a conversation for you. Okay, so we'll take those nice deep in-breaths together, 4 of them, and you can call in whatever energy you would like. Maybe it's a memory. Maybe it's a thought about a loved one going through a problem that you want to bring in to help address in practice, whatever it is for you. So take that first nice deep in-breath. See if you can allow the breath to really drop deeply, right, into the diaphragm, top of the belly. Let the stomach relax. Let the breath fill now into the upper chest. And as you release the breath, exhale out through your mouth in a sigh. Good. Keep the crown of the head lifted. Try not to collapse into the exhale, but keep everything nice and lifted and open. Next in breath together, deep and full. Exhale and let go. Good. Third in breath. And third exhale. Last but not least, the breath of surrender, a willingness to let go just to what is. Deep in breath and release. Perfect. Our practice starts today with sort of the extremities, a look at and an acknowledgement, right, of some of the smaller parts in the body that we want to take a look at. So we're going to start with the neck, and just with your hands in your lap for the moment, lift your shoulders up towards your ears, pull them back towards the back of the mat, and then use the muscles under your shoulder blades to pull, right, the shoulders away from the neck. Take another nice deep in-breath here, and as you exhale, let your right ear float over your right shoulder. At the same time, take your left shoulder and let it float down towards the floor, and breathe. A couple more breaths right into that side part of the neck and the upper spine, just below the jaw and the occipitals in your skull. And when you exhale, let the chin just drop to center right over your sternum. Let the back of the neck open And just stay here for a few breaths. Shoulders have evened up. And then when the next in-breath comes along, float the left ear over the left shoulder, let the right shoulder drop down towards the floor. And then the next in-breath brings your head back behind you. Now, I don't want you to drop the head down between your shoulders, right? Because that kind of puts a kink in the neck. See if you can think about extending through the crown of the head and lengthening the neck as much as possible as you reach it back. Breathe here, upper chest, front of the neck, upper spine. And then in-breath the head back to neutral, crown of the head lifted, sides of the neck slightly engaged to lift the head up. Right? So now we come into the face. A lot of times, jaw tension, right, happens, right, to all of us. So what I'd like you to do is take your tongue, bring it in front of your teeth, but close your lips, and then circle the tongue right to left or left to right. It's up to you because we're going to switch direction. And it's called the elixir of immortality. About 4 to 6 one way, and then turn and go 4 to 6 the other way. Now you're going to build up a lot of saliva. That's the elixir that they talk about. Just be sure to swallow, please. No spitting on the mat. Once you've got both sides covered, or both directions covered actually, bring your head back to center, relax your face, and then move your attention down to your shoulders. Once again, lift your shoulders up towards your ears, pull them back, use the muscles under the shoulder blades to pull the shoulders down. And once you get that centered, or you've squared your shoulders, let the arms come up shoulder level, and we'll just go through some nomenclature, right? External rotation of the arms means away from the midline of your body. So you're rotating the arms away, palms up. Internal, opposite way. Okay. So a couple more times. Open and close. Open and close. Good. Once more, open and close. Good. Now open again. All right. Lift the arms up towards the ceiling, palms facing, and we go into what we call a circumduction of the shoulder. So what I'm going to ask you to do is take the arms and reach them back as far as they'll go. You're going to find a sticking point. Okay? Once you get to that sticking point, then extend the arms up a little bit more towards the ceiling, and internally rotate your arms internally, and then float the arms around all the way forward and up. And once more, hit the stick point, lift up, internally rotate, float all the way around. This lifts the chest. Once more. Okay, and the last one. Now as you come up, just come up shoulder level with your palms facing here, and we'll move down the arms to the elbows a little bit here. So bend the elbows, let the elbows come in towards one another, and float them away and out, away from each other as you extend the arms forward, palms facing again. So if we smooth this out a little bit, elbows in, float out, extend forward, turn up, in, out, forward, up. A couple more times. Then we'll go right out to the wrists. Okay, I know all of us have been sitting behind the computer maybe a little bit more than we usually do with this staying inside stuff. So what I'd like you to do is just bring your fingers into a fist, internally rotate, and lift the wrists, or push the wrists, the top of the wrists, up towards the ceiling. And take the outsides of the wrist and push them out to the side. Take the bottoms of the wrists, push them down, And then the inside of the wrists in. So it's up, out, down, in. Up, out, down, in. Up, out, down, in. Good. Just relax the wrists now for a moment. And then we'll get into the fingers as well. So lift up. Okay. Starting with the thumbs now. You're going to rotate the thumbs in an outward rotation, right? So away from the midline. Outward. And you go to the index. Then the middle. The ring finger outward. The little finger outward. Then you go inward from the middle, from the little finger inward. In, there, in, yes, and thumbs. Good. Internally rotate, release the arms down behind your back, lift the chest. Excuse me. And on the next in-breath, bring both hands, right, to the left side of your body, knuckles pointing forward. Good. And straight back. And then to the other side. Make sure that that elbow, right, on the outside arm is floating straight back to open the front of the shoulder and the chest. Good. And then let the arms float down by your side. Take an in-breath now. You'll lift off your seated position and bring your hips above your knees. Arms up towards the ceiling. And now it's just a prostration pose as you keep the head in between the arms. Engage your core. Try not to let the arms float ahead of your body as they go down, right? So you want to keep your head in between the arms as you lower. As soon as you get down, float the arms out to the side on an in-breath and float up. Exhale and release down once more. Okay, so Gab's going to do about 3 more of those. Good. Excellent. One more time. Up. Down she goes. Good. So in order to get a better picture of where we're going with this, I'm going to ask Gab to kind of turn to her left a little bit here so she can move into the posture a little bit more. Okay, so once more. Up. Down into the full prostration now and stay there for the moment. Take a couple breaths here. Good. Now, the next in-breath, I'm asking her to lift up to the tabletop position with the cat arch in her back. Arch, good. Float forward now, letting the pelvis drop down, but as she does, she's going to get into upward facing dog variation as she bends her legs now and crosses her right ankle over her left. Good, good, and brings the heels in close to her backside. Couple breaths here, chest's lifted. Nice, long, she's got space in the back of her neck, and that's great. Okay, now come back the way you came. Let the feet drop down, arch the back up through tabletop pose, right, and back to that extended child's pose, the floor. Good, once more. In-breath, arch and lift. Exhale. In-breath, upward facing dog variation, and now the legs bend, and it's left over right. Good. And then back you come, same way. Good. Here we go again. In-breath and up. Drop down, up to the upward facing dog, cross legs right over left, but now look over your left shoulder. Good. Back to center, feet drop down, lift up to the tabletop, arch the back, and down you go to the extended child's. Okay, once more. Lift up, lower down, upward facing, cross ankles, look over right shoulder this time. Good. And back you come, down you go. Back to the extended child's pose. Good. For our first inversion of the morning, Gab's going to bring both her thumbs, tips of her thumbs together, spread her fingers wide, press her forearms into the mat, turn her toes under. Good. Now straightening her legs, all right, to forearm, beginning of a forearm balance. Good. Couple more breaths, walk your feet forward just a little bit more. Try to get your hips above your shoulders. 2, 3, good. Now walk the feet all the way back to a plank position on forearms. Engage your core strength. All right, good. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now gently drop pelvis to the floor. Good. Now, you're going to release your elbows, drop your chest down enough so that you can bring your hands right underneath your shoulders and elevate the hands away from the floor. So a little bit further forward with the hands there, just right there. Good. Crown of the head extends now. Your buttocks is slightly engaged to help support the small of the back. And on the next in-breath, straighten the right arm but bend the left leg. Right arm extends, left leg bends. You turn your head to the left. Good. And then come back to the starting position. Hands underneath. Good. Now the other side. Left arm extends, right leg bends. You turn your head right. Good. All right. Now keep on swimming from one side to the other. Boom. There it is. Now come back to center, both hands underneath the shoulders. Now extend both arms and bend both legs and back. Extend and bend and back. Good. Once more. And back. Good. Now press the hands into the floor to a tabletop position. Arch the back into a nice cat arch. Turn your toes under. Now we did this in our last session, but I think it's one of the optimal postures for opening up side body. So now it's called the runner's crouch. The knees lift away from the floor, toes are turned under, like that. Diaphragm is going back towards thigh, so she's pressing herself back. Shoulders are going away from the neck. Excellent. Good. Now pivoting on the balls of her feet, she sends her heels to the right as the knees come left, and sends her left hand and walks it out as far as she feels comfortable and can hold balance. This is opening up all left side body, so take a moment here to breathe into that area. And then pull that hand back, pivot on the balls of your feet to center, and now the other way. Knees go right, good, heels go left, and walk the right hand forward as much as you can, and open up right side. Excellent. Good, good. You're all doing great out there. I can see it. Good. And then back to center. Finish downward facing dog. Good. Now when you're ready on an in-breath, just step forward up in between your hands. Okay? 1 foot at a time. Bring your hands right underneath your knees and support a half forward fold. Good. She's got what we call the dog tilt in her hip, right? Crown of the head extends forward. Now when she finds her next exhale, arch the back up to a cat arch position here. Good. As she takes the next in-breath and finds that dog tilt in her hips, the hands are going to slip down the knees about 2 inches. Down the shins, I should say. Hold them there as you exhale and arch the back. So she's going to make her way down her legs just a little bit at a time. Dog tilt, hands slip down, in-breath. Hold the hands there. Exhale, arch. In-breath, tilt, hands down, slip a little bit more. Exhale, arch. Good. In-breath, tilt. Exhale, release all the way to Uttanasana in the standing forward fold. Let the crown of the head go and relax here. Good. We're going to ask for a little bit more opening the top of the neck. So we call this an occipital stretch. She's going to bring her thumb right up to the occipital crest at her skull, so her thumbs on either side. And gently just massage that area. It's not like you're trying to pinch it, but with the pads of your thumbs, you're pressing the top of the head down towards the floor. Breathe. Good. Good. Now slowly let your knees bend and let the chest rest right on top of the thighs. So the knees are coming together now. She's going to find her block and bring her block right to the tips of the toes, right? So if you don't have a block, you can use your hands on the floor or use a chair or find a prop that will help you with this, right? So now she'll bring her hands on top of the block and straighten her legs all the way up. Good. Now we're going to look at the hip process here a little bit in the standing position. We're going to isolate this area. So on the next in-breath, she's going to take the right leg, float it out to the right and up as far as she feels comfortable. So right leg out and out to the right. There you go. Breathe. Good. And then the leg floats down. Good. And then the same thing with the left. Up. And down. Good. Now once more with the right side, but we're going to add one more little step here. So the right leg will go out to the right. Now when she brings the right leg back in to meet the left, she's going to lift the hip joint up so that she hovers the foot, so there's space here. Draw the toes back and then drop back of the ball of foot, then heel, then toes last. Good. Center your toes up there. Same thing, left side, out to the left. Good. Slowly float in and lift the left leg or left foot away from the floor. Draw toes back. Back of the ball of foot. Heel and toe. Good. All right, now we'll go straight back. So back to the right leg. Extend the right leg straight back and off the floor as high without taking the squareness of, yes, perfect, of your hips away from the floor. Good. Press out through the ball of the foot, draw your toes back, and now do the same. Float it in next to the left, lift up at the hip joint, back of the ball of foot, heel, toe rests the floor. Same thing, left side. Back, off the floor, draw toes back, press out through the ball of the foot, and slowly float that one in next to the right. Drop back of the ball of foot, heel, toe. Now let's combine the two. So let's start with the right, go out from the hip, out to the right, float back, float forward with that right leg all the way forward and down. Same thing, left side, out, back, and down. Okay, one more, right, to get full sort of mobility in all the hip joint. Out to the right, back, okay, now back out to the right, and down. There we go. Same thing, left side. Good, good. Back out left, and down. Great. Go ahead and bend your knees and come into what we call the ragdoll position and just relax the legs a little bit in the shoulder. Get the block out of the way for the moment. Okay, chest and thighs are together. I want her to drop her, bend her legs a little bit more so the backs of the legs are almost parallel. Sweep the arms out to the side, airplane fashion, straight out from the shoulders. Good. Now on the next in-breath, up to Utkatasana, powerful pose as you sweep the arms forward and up, sitting in the chair. Good. Yeah, we're not in the fanage way yet, so that's good. Good. And then let the arms float out shoulder level as you come standing all the way up. Good. Okay, now don't bring your hands overhead. Just go into a standing tiptoe balance by taking your heels off the floor. You can leave your arms out to the side. It might help you in the balance area now. A little bit more in balance. Take the left heel and drop it to the floor as you bring your right knee up towards your armpit. Find your balance there. Your focus of attention, your drishti, somewhere on the floor out in front of you. Good. Go ahead and let that leg float down to the floor. Come to the standing tiptoe balance again. And then the right heel goes to the floor as the left knee comes up and finds her balance. Good. Good. Left leg goes down. Once more, standing tiptoe. Left heel down, right knee up. And now extend the right leg forward as best you can. 2, 3. Good. Bend the right leg again. Float it down into the floor. Once it gets there, you come up to the standing tiptoe balance again. And now the right heel to the floor, left knee up. Extend, hold, find your breath. And then bend the left leg again and slowly lower down to the floor. Good. Sweep the arms around behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Draw the shoulder blades together and extend. As you sit in Utkatasana with your arms behind your back, draw the hands as we did earlier to the right side of the body. Knuckles pointing forward. Right elbow going straight back. There we go. Good. And straighten the arms back and float them to the other side in the same fashion. That's it. There we go. Good. Arms go straight back once more as you drop your chest to your thighs and send the arms up and over the back of your head as best you can. Good. Let the arms float out shoulder level, airplane fashion. And then bring them into the floor. Straighten your legs into Uttanasana, standing forward, fold, let the crown of the head relax for a few breaths. Step 1 foot at a time back to a downward facing dog. Okay. Remember, downward facing dog, there's a slight tilt. Shoulder blades are coming away from the back. Beautiful. Heels relaxing. You're not trying to force heels to the floor, but let gravity do its thing. Okay? And we're going to work on some lunge positions. This also gets the hip and the smaller back into this situation here. So it's on the next in-breath, Gabby's going to lunge forward like she's going to take her right foot forward to a high lunge. But she's going to stop with the right knee hovering underneath your right armpit. So it's like a chambering movement there. Good. Now she pushes back to the runner's crouch position, knees bent, finishes downward facing dog. Left leg, same thing. Forward, almost lunge. Back to the runner's crouch to square and even the hips. Finish downward facing dog. Good. Now right side again, but instead of chambering, we call it the almost pigeon. She's going to draw that right foot across the front of her body like she's going to sit it down to pigeon, but not. And push back to the runner's crouch. Finish downward facing dog. Left side, same thing. Good. Okay, once more right side. We're going to add a little bit more to this. She's going to extend now her right leg straight out this way towards me. Best, there we go. Good. Add a length up the IT band and into the hip. Okay, back to the almost pigeon. And then runner's crouch, then downward facing dog. Okay, same thing, left side. Almost pigeon, reach the leg straight out to the right. Back you go, almost pigeon, runner's crouch, downward facing dog. Okay, now I want her to bring her hands a little bit inside her shoulder width. Okay, so a little bit closer together. There you go. In breath now, take the right leg up towards the ceiling. You're going to miss it, don't worry. And as much as you can. Right leg goes up, the ha, left heel down. Good. And now lunge the right foot out to the outside of the right hand. Good. Drop the left heel down and to her right. Right, so there you go. Setting up for warrior pose, but with this difference. We wanted to grab the strap and lift up into warrior one with strap. So the arms will be straight as much as you can. And let the strap float behind her shoulder blades to open up chest, fronts of shoulders. Good. There we go. If you don't have a strap at home, you can bring your hands around behind your back and interlace your fingers. Give you a little bit more there. Good. In breath and exhale. Good. Right knee above right ankle. It's a little tough on the rug. I'm thinking she's slipping a little bit, but that's all right. Good. Good. Hips are squaring a little bit more. There we go. Now on the next in-breath, straighten the right leg. Move into the forward fold over that right leg as the right hip shifts back, the left hip shifts forward, and down into the fold. Good. Good. And now strap floats down to the floor. Move into the high lunge. All right, so now the left heel extending straight back, right knee bends. There you go. Now let's make it the high lunging twist. Okay. So back down to the floor with your hands. There you go. Good. Now take the right elbow up towards the ceiling as you turn your chest to the right. High lunging twist. There you go. Good. Gently drop the left knee to the floor. Send the right arm up, straight up. Now it's an external rotation. As she sends this arm back, she bends this leg and tries to touch the outside edge of that left foot with the right hand. Good. All the same time, she's trying to lower this down. Turn the chest up towards the ceiling. Good. Good. All right. Now sweep that right arm around inside that right foot. Let the left foot come down. Turn the toes under. Press back to the runner's crouch. Finish downward facing dog. Good. Again, shift the hands a little bit closer together now. Good. In-breath, left leg up towards the ceiling. Exhale, in-breath now sweeps all the way out to the left, outside of the left hand into a high lunge. Okay, she drops the right heel down into the left for her base position on warrior on this side as she brings the strap up. Warrior one, strap with strap on left side. Strap floats back right behind the shoulders. Perfect. Nice. Nice. There it is. Yep. Good. Couple breaths here. She settles in. Okay. What kind of conversation is ensuing right now? Saying, I shouldn't have volunteered to come to class this morning. Breathe. And then straighten the left leg. Okay. That right hip shifts forward, the left hip shifts back, and now move into the forward fold over the left leg. Good. Keep the strap right behind the shoulder blades all the way down. Good. Now the strap comes over as she bends that left leg and comes into a high lunge. Good. Making it the high lunge twist now, takes the left elbow up towards the ceiling. And the only reason we're doing this elbow is we're trying to center and create a line of energy, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, elbow. Okay, then she can send this up if she wants, right? And she will here, because now she's going to bring the left hand down to find the outside edge of that right foot. Turn the chest up as much as she can. Press the foot against the hand to open up shoulder process even a little bit more. Good. And then release that foot to the floor. Come to the high lunge. Press back to runner's crouch. Finish downward facing dog. Good. Okay. In breath now, take the left leg up towards the ceiling. Sweep the left leg into a high lunge. Up. There we go. Now walk the hands over to the right so that you get a wide angle standing pose. So you're going to walk, there you go. Good, good, good. Right on. Once more, we're going to use the block in this situation here. As she takes the left hand on top of the block, she'll take the right elbow now up towards the ceiling, right, into a twist. Then the right hand extends all the way. Okay. And with an internal rotation now, she's going to reach that right arm over her right ear. Thighs are spinning away, arches lifted, and outside edge of the foot into the floor. Good. Good. Now let the right arm float out to the side, shoulder level. Let the left arm float up, shoulder level. Good. Switch hands now. Right hand goes to block, left elbow up towards the ceiling. Good. Now the left arm straight up. Now the left arm floats over the left ear and forward. Good. All right, now right arm floats up, shoulder level, left arm out. Good. I'll get this block out of the way, left arm, right arm up. Sweep the arms around behind your back now and take the toes of the left foot and push them off to the left a little bit. So you're going to go there. Good. Bending the left leg now, duck that left shoulder inside the left knee. Good. It's like you're going down to try to kiss, right, that left foot. Now bringing the left hand onto the sacrum, swing that right arm all the way around to the outside of the left foot. Take another in-breath here as you exhale now. Left leg will straighten and you'll turn to look behind you as you lift into the twist once more this way. Good. Good. And then release to center in between your legs. Straighten your toes for a moment. Just hang there, all right? Come out of the twist. Then arms float out shoulder level as she lifts up halfway. Hands float around behind the back and interlace. Now the toes turn out on the right foot. As she bends the right leg, ducks the right shoulder inside that right knee. Okay. And when she's ready, right hand onto sacrum, left hand to the outside. And now straightening the right leg and turning to look behind her. All in one nice in-breath. Good. That's it. A couple more breaths here. Good. And release to a forward fold in between the legs. And walk the hands back now to inside the left foot and make it a high lunge here. Bring both feet back to a plank position. Okay, and Ashtanga Pranam, right? You know, Chaturanga is in the Vinyasa system is one of the big transitional moves, but a lot of times we like to use the 8-pointed pose. So drop knees down first, then chest and chin to the mat. Good. Press to tabletop. Arch the back into a cat arch. Dog tilt the hips. Chest and chin to floor. Good. Walk the knees back now and flatten down for the moment. Okay, she's been doing a lot of work here, so we're going to go into the minutiae once again. So what I'd like her to do is just cross her arms in front of her head and rest her head to one side on arms. And I want you to find the sacrum now, okay? And just start to lift, not so much by walking the knees forward to lift the butt and the hips, but see if you can just lift the small of the back up away from the floor. Okay, so you're going to arch this area. There it is. That's it. So she's got space right underneath the belly button. Good. Just hold that for a couple breaths. Good, and then lower down and relax. Good. A couple breaths here just to come back to neutral. And then once again, sacrum lifts up. It's a very subtle movement, right? But it gets really at the very minutiae of the lower part of the spine. Good, and then lower back down. Good. Now sweep the arms around behind your back, interlace your fingers, send the arms up towards the ceiling. Good. Now roll to your right shoulder. Good. Try to keep your head in a line with your shoulders. There it is. Your gaze can go up towards the ceiling. In breath, left leg up. Bend it and bring your left foot in front of your right knee and into the floor. So there we go. Good. Now I want her to push, right, the foot into the floor, like she wants to roll herself onto her back. At the same time, take the arms and move them away from your back. So you're moving them. Yeah, that's it. Good. Getting into the front of the shoulder once again. Breathe. Good. Good. center. And now to the other side, rolling back onto the left shoulder. Good. Pulling these arms away from the back, lift the right leg up. Bend the right leg, bring it in front. Good, and press. And working into this. There we go. Good. 2, 3, and come back to center once more. As she rolls onto her tummy once more, arms are out, shoulder level now, and palms into the floor. You can rest your head to one side for a moment. Take a couple breaths here. And now in breath, left leg up off the floor, straight off the floor. Bend the left leg. Now the idea here is to keep real diligent about keeping the front of the left shoulder into the floor as she takes this left foot up and over like she wants to touch the floor behind her. But if she's really honest with this, it's going to be a little tough to do, right? She's going to reach that left leg around and breathe. Good. 2, 3, and then back to center. Good. Same thing with the other side. Now right leg lifts, bends. Okay, as she lifts this knee up and reaches back, all right, she really puts emphasis on keeping the front of that right shoulder into the floor. 2, 3, 4, and back you come. Good. Remember, at any time, if you feel like you want to re-explore, right, we can't always do, more than a couple of repetitions on each of these, just for film time, but you're more than welcome to try it again if you'd like. Okay, this time she's going to bend both legs, reach both hands back, find her feet. Okay, bring chest up first, and then legs up and back. Breathe. Good, and then lower down, but hold on to the hand, or hold on to the feet, bring the heels into your backside. Good. Okay, once more, chest lifts, legs kick up and back. At this time, right, holding on to her feet, she'll roll to her left shoulder. Side bow, and breathe. Feet are kicking into hands, right? In breath back to center. Release your head to the floor, heels to backside. Good, take a couple breaths. And up we come again. Chest lifts, legs kick up and back. And now the roll is to the right shoulder. And then back you come. Good, and lower down. Good, release the legs now. Bring hands underneath shoulders and slowly press into a tabletop pose. And arch your back into a cat arch. We did this in the first series last week. She's going to take sort of like a side oval, reaching her left ribs out to the left, then dropping down to dog tilt as she comes to center, then right ribs out and lift up. So keep going around. There you go. Good. And then switch directions. Good. All right, coming to tabletop now. I'm going to move down to the tops of the feet a little bit here. Okay, so we call this downward facing dog, tops of feet. So it's not by turning the toes under, but by keeping the tops of the feet into the floor. So she's going to lift her knees and her hips away from the floor like a downward facing dog and press in with the tops of her feet. Good. A couple more breaths here. Opening up all the fascia, right, around the connective tissue on the tops of the feet and into the toes. On the next in-breath, she'll slide the right knee forward up in between her hands and sit on her right heel. Right knee up in between hands, sit on right heel. There you go. Good. Again, just slightly pressing in with that left foot now. And lift the left knee away from the floor for a moment. Good. Now so we can get backward length and expansion on the back of the leg. Lift off your right heel enough so that you can slide forward and just turn the toes over so that you extend out through the heel on the left foot. So now, there you go, exactly, that's it. Breathe. As you lower the left knee to the floor now, walk your hands to the outside of the right side. All the way out, there you go. Then on an exhale, drop down to your left elbow, left forearm outside your right thigh. Good. Breathe. Excellent. And yeah, if you want to keep that left knee off the floor, go ahead. You can take it and try it. Yeah, it'll give you extra more. More extra more. Breathe. Good. And then walk the hands back to center. Hands underneath shoulders. Keep the left heel extended and press back to the runner's crouch. And then release to tabletop pose. Knees to the floor, arch the back. Give yourself a little bit of spinal release, either with that movement that we just did or with a dog tilt cat arch up your spine a couple times. Good. And once more, downward facing dog, tops the feet. Tops the feet pressing and lift. The next in-breath slides the left knee forward on you sit on the left heel. Press in with the top of the right foot now as you take the right knee away from the floor. And when you're ready, it's just going to take a little bit of a lift off that left heel so that you can pull that foot forward and roll it. There you go. Now the movement is to the left as you walk your hands to the outside and work down to your left, your right forearm, and your left forearm too, actually. Breathe. Good. And more breaths. Good. Now, all I'd like Abby to do is come back to center again with both hands underneath. And now all it is just kind of, she's going to fall over actually onto her left thigh, good, and stack her right leg on top of her left. So now we call it the double pigeon. Okay, good. And a lot of times because of tightness in the small of the back and the hips, right, the knees are going to be away from the floor and the foot, right? And this is kind of where we want to go with it. Right now it's fine, so she can support that a little bit, okay, by bringing that under. Now hands behind the back, lifting the chest, and start to walk, and hands forward and start to drop the chest, but not with arching, right? But lifting through the crown of the head and slowly lowering down a little bit at a time, right? Here's where the conversation gets really, acute, intense, if you will, because your hips are going to be crying out like crazy, like, no, I don't want to go there. No. But you try to kind of convince it that you can kind of take this a little bit more, right? You're not trying to bully it, trying to work with it. Okay? A couple more breaths. When you can and you're able to get chest towards that top leg or even top of it, then you can send the arms forward, hands in namaste, and release all the way. But right now, this is just fun. Good. Good, and in breath, come back up. Take this out and switch legs now, left on top of right. A little bit more open on this side, right? So she doesn't need block here. Okay, hands behind once again. Dog tilt, chest lifts, and down you go. A little bit at a time. Yeah, that's it. Shoulders back. Yeah, there we go. Breathe. And slowly come back up. Okay, release both legs out in front of you, knees bent. And just in-breath and exhale, release chin to chest, arch the back, catch the shins on that last bit. In-breath forward and up. Exhale, release and back. Once more. And let go. Okay, on the next in-breath now, draw the right leg in for the spinal twist, left foot to the outside. Okay, remember the circumduction thing here. It's the idea, a lot of times people are trying to get into the twist and they'll go right here and try to get into it, but you want to get as much lift as you can. So left arm up, you circumduct, move it around, then lower it down. Then you've got as much space started to create in your spine so that you can move into the twist either by hugging, by holding, or by leveraging, okay, into the movement. Breathe. Good. Come back to center, okay, and extend both legs out for a moment, Dandasana. Hands just outside your hips, pressing in, lift into the reverse plank. Curl the toes forward. Good. Good. Now pull the feet back underneath the knees, reverse tabletop. Lift up a little bit more. And then lower, backside to floor. Good. Sweep the arms forward. Catch the shins once again. Okay. In-breath pulls forward. Exhale, arches and releases back. Good. Breath in forward. Now the next time she comes back, she'll tuck the other foot underneath into the outside of the hip, so it should be right leg this time, I think. Yes. Left foot to the outside. Good. Other side. Oops. Good. Now right arm up and back and around, circumducting. Exhale into the twist. However that works for you. Hold. Leverage. Good. And come back to center. Release the legs out. Dandasana. Reverse plank this time, lifts the hips up and curls the toes forward. Good. Good. Slowly lower backside to floor, bring knees into chest. Take the feet off the floor and hover. And now extend the arms forward on either side in this variation of the upward facing boat. Now we'll ask Gabby to gently just float down to her back, keep her knees into the chest, bring her knees with her. Knees into chest. Good. Give herself a hug here. Good. Now send the legs straight up towards the ceiling. Small of the back, secure into the floor. Good. Now pressing in with her hands, the feet are going to float back towards a plow position. Good, but I don't want her to go any further than her shoulder blades. So extend out through the heels, open up the backs of the legs this way. Perfect, there we go. That's it. Good, pressing in with her hands now. Start to lift the legs up towards the ceiling as much as she can. Okay, so not quite a shoulder stand, I don't want it to be, but right, she's using her core strength in a different way to push the legs up. Now slowly lower back down, keep the heels extended, keep the thighs on chest, lower down, small of the back. As soon as that hits, she lets the legs float to about 4 inches above the floor. Bend your legs if you need. Bring your hands underneath your butt if you need. Good. Now bend the legs into your chest. Extend straight up towards the ceiling. Float back to the almost pigeon, almost plow, excuse me. And now send the legs up towards the ceiling as you press in with your hands. Good. There it is. Good. And then come back the way you can. Lower, lower, lower. Slowly lower down to that 4-inch point if you can. Good. And then bring knees into chest. Good. Send the legs straight up. Okay, now all the way into plow if you can. Take the feet behind you to the floor. Good. Bring your hands on your back for support now. Now walk the feet apart at a wide angle. Okay, bring your hands now one at a time up in between your legs towards the ceiling. Good, one at a time. Now the other one. No. So they're both up eventually. There we go. Now, can you bend the legs and reach for the outside edges of your feet as you lower down? Okay, we're moving from a wide angle plow, right, to happy baby pose.
Oh.
There, good. Yes, yes. Now start to bend and find the outside edges of your feet. There we go. Now we got it. Perfect. Good. But if we didn't make one mistake in this, I would say we were kind of weird. Good. Perfect. Now bend, use the elbows to press the backs of the legs and the knees down towards the floor. Good. Good. A couple more breaths here. Soles of the feet. Yeah. Good. All right. Now release the feet. Let the feet come together in a Baddha Konasana. As they float down to the floor, your elbows are going to press into the floor beside you. Lift the chest up and scoop to the top of your head. So we've got a laying down variation of Baddha Konasana. Bring your hands to Namaste on your chest if that works for you. Relax your legs a little bit more. There it is. Good. Now extend the arms back and breathe. Good. Okay, elbows go back alongside. You press off the top of your head. Keep the legs in Baddha. And now sweep the arms around, interlace the fingers, and press the palms away from the crown of the head once more. Take this opportunity, you're nice and open now, to breathe a lot. Arms float out, shoulder level, straight out. And now bring your left knee over on top of your right. Gaze goes to your right. There you go. Now lock it in with the bottom foot, right? So bring your bottom foot on top of your top knee. Other way. There you go. That's. One more breaths. Now as you come back to center and onto your back, keep your knees bent and the soles of your feet into the floor and move into a baby bridge. Lift up. And sweep underneath. Good. Couple more breaths. And slowly lower down now from shoulders to small of back, knees into chest, and hug. Knees in the chest first. We'll go to the other side. There we go. Arms float out shoulder level. Now the knees go to the floor to your left. Your gaze to your right. Locking with your left foot on top of the right knee, outside of the right knee. Once more, back to center, knees into chest. Well, let's do a baby bridge just really quick to kind of bring everything neutral. So lift up. Lower down. Knees into chest and hug. Now both arms and legs straight up towards the ceiling. The legs will float forward into the floor, but the arms will float all the way back. Okay, we played this posing posture last time. Okay. Good. Extending out through the balls of your feet and your fingers. Breathe. Good. Walk your arms over to the left and your feet over to the left. And then back to center and the other way. Back to center. Okay, scoot yourself back a little bit and we're kind of getting off the rug here. Good, perfect. Once more, knees into chest and hug. Send arms and legs straight up once more. Good. Now arms float out, shoulder level and out to the side while the knees float down. The feet float down to the floor, the knees will bend and support one another. So the feet float apart and knees stay together. There you go, all the way to the floor, all the way to the floor. Good. Take another nice deep in breath, bring right arm over on top to the left, left arm over on top to the right. We have a constructed rest pose. Again, this is a part of the conversation where the conversation is going to end here in just a little bit. Okay, you're going to let go of your friend, but you want to acknowledge here, right, while your awareness is still pretty bright, that the work that you've done, the things that you've explored, what the conversation has meant to you to this point. People stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply. Some meditated, some prayed, some danced. Some met their shadows and the people began to think differently. The people healed, and in the absence of people living in ignorance, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal. And when the danger passed, and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses, made new choices, and dreamed new images, and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully, as they had been healed. So your choice now is to stay in this constructed rest pose or lengthen all the way out to Shavasana, right, which is your traditional total rest asana. No more need to do. This part is just about being.